Hello you knaves, welcome to Shakespeare Academy. I thought that today I should do a commentary on one of Shakespeare's sonnets. Which one? Sonnet 18? Pfft. Sonnet 116? Pfft. Sonnet 130? Pfft. What am I, an undergraduate? Today we are going to be covering Sonnet 118, Shakespeare's sickest sonnet. To oversimplify, this sonnet is a self-serving justification for infidelity, but its conceit is stunning and the speaker's logical defense of his irrationality is brilliant. The sonnet riffs on the very old idea that love is a sickness, but if it's a sickness, how do we treat it? And should we treat it at all if its only symptom is sweetness? But this isn't a poem about young love. This isn't Romeo and Juliet. To prevent the excessive sweetness or even boredom of love,
I'm so sick of that same old love.
The speaker pursues other love affairs, just as we take purgatives to ward off sickness. But then the speaker got used to being unfaithful to his beloved young man, the medicine of infidelity, and this made him additionally sick. In other words, his strategy of avoiding illness made him ill. We can follow how this argument develops through the sonnet's structure. As in most of Shakespeare's sonnets, there are 3 quatrains and a couplet. A quatrain is a group of 4 lines, just like a quartet is a group of 4 people. The first quatrain is in the present tense and outlines what we usually do to aid health, and it starts with the word like. Now, whenever you see a poem start with the word like, you should be looking out for a conceit or an analogy. Like as means just as. Now, I often scold my students for overusing the word like, so now they might be wondering why Shakespeare can use it in one of his sonnets. If you're confused about this, I've developed a helpful chart for you to follow. So in the second line, eager compounds are sharp-tasting mixtures. If we have a look at the best English dictionary from the second best English university, you'll see that eager used to mean sharp, and its example is the line from this sonnet. The word eager is cognate with the word acrid, and if you have a look at the etymology for the word eager, you'll notice that it comes from the Latin word for sharp, acer. If you can't read Latin, what are you doing with your life? The line "we sicken to shun sickness when we purge" means that we take emetics to prevent the illnesses that aren't yet obvious. So this moves into the second quatrain, which is in the past tense, and talks about what the speaker did to aid health, but now he is talking about the emotional realm. So this is how the conceit continues. Ne'er cloying means never cloying sweetness, and to think about cloying sweetness, you might want to think about the stomachache you get after eating too much ice cream. In the line "to bitter sauces did I frame my feeding," that is, he turned to bitter sauces, other lovers,
You sex offender.
to rid him of his beloved's sweetness. And then we have the oxymoron "sick of welfare," which means he is sick of good health. Perhaps he is bored with the sweetness of his love.
I'm so sick of that same old love.
And then he says he found a kind of meetness, a kind of aptness or appropriateness in this feeling. This moves us to the third quatrain, which is a little bit jarring because we no longer have a first-person viewpoint, but the love-sickness conceit continues even though we don't actually have the word sick. We have a much more complex vocabulary. If we consult our Oxford English Dictionary, you can see the word policy has a sense of cunning, as Shakespeare used it in Henry IV, Part 1, and some of his other plays. The words faults and goodness have a moral sense to them. Line 11 says that he brought a healthy state to the condition of needing medicine. Rank of goodness means something like abounding in or overgrown with. But as we have a look at our Oxford English Dictionary at some of the meanings of the word rank, you can see here that the moral sense is impossible to avoid. The oxymorons in this poem, sick of welfare and rank of goodness, give us an interesting psychological insight. How can one tire of welfare and goodness? Why would someone reject them and seek the bitter sources? And why would someone find some sort of suitability or appropriateness in being diseased? The cleverness of this sonnet is in its argument that the boredom of being well is a kind of sickness. And there's also the hint there in the first 2 lines that the appetite for the beloved is often sharpened elsewhere. An uncomfortable but probably true observation. This brings us to the couplet at the end of the sonnet. We return to the first person perspective in line 13, but then in line 14 we have a shift to the impersonal objective viewpoint about the lesson. We have more medical terms like drugs, poison, and sick, but the word poison gives us a degree of illness much more serious than we originally might have thought. There is no hint of a cure. That's it for today. Are there any other sonnets you want me to explain and analyze? Please let me know in the comments. And don't forget to liketh and subscribeth.